Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sports Khabri. Arun Foot, Curious Harry, and Indian Food and Football. Well, Shine is a little late. He will be joining us. We're here to discuss Mumbai City FC versus Northeast United. I enjoyed this game. 2-1 in the end in the favor of Mumbai City, but it was a cracker of a game. I think Northeast made a fight of it in the end. There were a couple of controversial calls we'll talk about. We'll discuss all of that. But Arnava, having worked with Mumbai in the past, to see your team get off to a winning start, how does it feel?
It feels good because after the last few matches in which Mumbai sort of didn't fire, be it the Duran Cup quarterfinal loss to Mohun Bagan Supergiant, be it the Champions League match against Nasaji. I think this was very, very important for Mumbai City, and especially for Jorge Pereira Diaz, because there was this question being raised that Mumbai City is lacking a striker. And this guy scored two brilliant goals. The first one was already good, but the second one was just class in the way he gets into that position and just gets the ball goalwards, and a huge credit to him for that. And but on the other side, Northeast United look a different team, look much better than in the last season. Parthiv Gogoi, another Northeast boy who could be an asset for the Indian football setup. So in that way, positives for them. But on the other side, as said, I think for Mumbai City it was important that they won the game. If you look at the whole game, I think yes, they were deserving winners. There were some close calls at both ends, but I'd say that Mumbai City have were able to see out the game, and you do see Ahmed Chahu was missing. Noguera, who sort of was his replace, was missing. I think Joel van Neef will take some time to fully settle down. Those were sort of the weak links, but I think overall, Mumbai City will need another 2-3 matches to properly settle down, and then let's see how far it takes them.
Yeah, Lord Beke mentions, I think, Falguni Singh's father has passed away. We heard in commentary, and our prayers and wishes with him. Um, the game itself was very interesting. Kumar has mentioned it. The pace and intensity of the game was high, and there were a lot of things that we can sit and analyze. Hiren, what impressed you most about the game? Let's start with the first goal. Beautiful, piece of build up, nice play constructed, and then finished off well by Jorge Pereira Diaz. What do you make of that first goal?
This is what Mumbai City was doing last year, consistent on
Yeah.
basis, and this year they failed in previous matches. But today, I think the old Mumbai City has been back. Still, they need a little bit more in the finishing sense because in this match they miss a lot of chances. Otherwise, this scoreline would be easily 4-1, 5-1, whatever you call it, because there are a lot of chances in second half, particularly. I think they missed. But I want to talk about the Northeast. I think जिस तरह से उन्होंने खेला है, आई थिंक कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट दिखी है। जैसे अरुणा सर ने बोला कि लास्ट ईयर से एक जो स्पिरिट और एक उनकी तरफ से फाइट दिखी, वो मेरे को सबसे बढ़िया लगा। उन्होंने मतलब देखिए हर बार आप देखिए मुंबई सिटी लगातार चांसेस क्रिएट करती जा रही थी, लेकिन कहीं पे भी आपको क्या बोलती कि उनकी ओर से ऐसा एटीट्यूड नहीं दिखाई कि अब हम डिफेंसिव जाएंगे। दे ऑलवेज गो फॉर द गोल थ्रू आउट द मैच। आप देखिए लास्ट में भी आप देखिए कि उन्होंने एक दो काफी बढ़िया उन्होंने शॉट लिए थे। आई थिंक एलबीएच ने ब्रिलियंट शॉट थे वो। And throughout the matches, Parthiv Gogoi का वो गोल brilliant, I think best goal for me in this match, जिस तरह से उसने फिनिश किया। So I think नॉर्थ ईस्ट यूनाइटेड मतलब मुंबई सिटी के सामने भी थोड़ा टफ था, लेकिन आई थिंक दे विल डेफिनेटली बीट सम ऑफ द टॉप साइड्स इन अपकमिंग मैचेस। एंड मुंबई सिटी के लिए भी चाहते हैं कि यार दिखा भाई कि व्हाट ही ब्रिंग्स टू द टेबल। आई थिंक मजा आता है मतलब जब जब भी देखते हैं, और जिस तरह का वो वन टच बिल्डअप होता है उनका, वो मतलब अराउंड द एज ऑफ द बॉक्स और फाइनल थर्ड में, आई थिंक दैट्स द ब्रिलियंट टू सी। मतलब ये जनरली हमें आईएसएल में इतना देखने को नहीं मिलता, क्योंकि आईएसएल में उतना फ्लूइड फुटबॉल हम देखते हैं, बट द वे they construct the goals, I think Mumbai City, I think that's why they are one of the top teams in ISL. And definitely I think और ज्यादा आई थिंक धीरे धीरे टीम सेटल हो जाएगी ओलवेन नाइफ एंड नासिर अल खयाती, देन आई थिंक और भी ज्यादा हमें क्या बोलते हैं कि गोल स्कोर यहाँ पे केवल मुंबई सिटी की ओर से देखने को मिलेगा. सो दैट्स अ ब्रिलियंट गेम फॉर देम. आई थिंक जस्ट फॉर मी the little bit concern is in backline. I think backline needs to settle down little bit more. I think और ज्यादा वो मतलब ओपन अप हो रहे हैं जो जनरली लास्ट ईयर उतना ज्यादा नहीं हो रहे थे. So in backline I think they needs to little bit compact. Other than that I think it's a perfect game for them.
Yeah, fair enough. Another Hiren mentioned Partha Goga, and what a, I mean, wholesome performance for a winger, isn't it? He's got that beautiful goal from the left hand side. He's curled it into the far corner. But apart from that, he had really had a lot of joy on that left hand side against Raul Beke. He beat him a few times. What do you make of his performance in general?
He has been showing this towards the end of the last ISL. He was showing it in the Doran Cup. He was showing it in the Super Cup. He has the confidence to go into these 1-on-1s. He's willing to try and finish opportunities. I think that's something which you don't see that often at ISL levels of Indian attacking players. And that makes him dangerous. And therefore, I would say, deserving goal for him, brilliant goal for him. And I hope we'll see much more of him in the coming matches in the coming years.
Yeah, Lord Beke is saying Raheem Ali to replace Raheem Sterling after today's Chelsea performance. Actually, didn't get to watch the Chelsea game, but they've suffered yet another defeat. Raheem Ali also not the best performance. We'll get to the Asian Games part of it. I'm sure Hiren has a lot to say about Raheem Ali, and we'll discuss that. Okay, he doesn't want to, but okay. Mindset saying the Northeast defense needs to do better. How it look like an average Indian centre back with no trait of a modern CB. Do you agree, Hiren?
आई थिंक यासिर हमीद आज खेला था सेंटर बैक में, एक
Exactly.
फॉरेनर उन्होंने
Yeah.
खिलाया था. एंड उसके साथ दिनेश सिंह एंड आसिर थे. एंड तोंडोंगबा सिंह था. तोंडोंगबा तो नचा दिया पूरा चांगते ने. आई थिंक उसको तो खोल के रख दिया था उस साइड से. मतलब हर बार उसको बीट किया जा रहा था 1 वर्सेस 1 में. सेंटर बैक आई थिंक थोड़ा सा टाइम लगेगा चेलिन होने में. आई थिंक क्योंकि पूरी बैक लाइन आप देखिए तो पूरी ऑलमोस्ट नई जैसी ही है. तो साथ में उतने मैचेस खेली नहीं है, तो थोड़ा सा टाइम लगेगा उनको. एंड बेमा मेर का रोल भी काफी ज्यादा क्रूशियल रहेगा. वो डिफेंसिव मिडफील्डर का टू गेट द सपोर्ट दैट बैक लाइन. सो डेफिनेटली मतलब मुंबई सिटी जैसी टीम के सामने तो आप खुल गए, लेकिन आई थिंक धीरे धीरे आई थिंक दे विल कम अप एज अ स्ट्रांग बैक लाइन यूनिट.
Yeah. Yeah.
गौरव बेरा आई थिंक ईशान भारद्वाज भाई का जो है गौरव बेरा ने इम्प्रेस किया था मेरे को दुरान कप में. सो आई थिंक इन प्लेस ऑफ दिनेश सिंह आई वांट टू सी गौरव बेरा एंड यासिर अहमद, या फिर उनकी मैं बैकलाइन देखना ज्यादा प्रेफर करूंगा.
Yeah, impressive. Anubhav Vikram Singh came on, impressed in that cameo that he had. Do you think this is the role for him throughout the season, or do you see him breaking into the starting lineup at some point?
I think he has a chance to break into the lineup. I think Bipin is sort of the weakling at the moment at Mumbai City. I think Bipin Singh needs to up his game, and I feel that Vikram looks sharper to me, and the opportunity also to try and play Changte on the left. So I think that is also an interesting one to try and use Changte on the right or on the left. Vikram brings this desire, this aggression. Again, which you rarely see in an Indian attacking player, and therefore, again, Mumbai City have a number of options. That makes it interesting for Des Buckingham in the sense of looking at who could potentially come in. So therefore, yeah, it's important. I think Mumbai City has a decent bench. Gurkirat wasn't there today. He was with India or is with India in China. So from that perspective, there are options, and therefore, let's see. Bipin needs to up his game. I think that's the thing. If I see the last year and a half, Bipin has not really upped his game. If I compare him to Changte has really become one of the best Indian players overall in Indian football. So therefore,
एक सर आपने नोटिस किया होगा आज के मैच में 2-3 बार ऐसे इंस्टेंसेस बने थे कि जहाँ पे आई थिंक एक बार जॉर्जे परेरा के पास या फिर ग्रेग स्टोर के पास मौका था और एक बार चांगते के पास मौका था कि बिपिन वहाँ पे ओपन खड़ा हुआ था एंड
Yeah,
अगर उसको पास मिलता तो इजीली अपन स्कोर कर सकता था, बट आई थिंक वो कॉन्फिडेंस भी प्लेयरों का भी अब उतना नहीं है, क्योंकि जिस तरह की उसकी, आपने बिल्कुल सही बोला कि पिछले एक साल में आप देखिए नेशनल टीम से भी जगह गवा दी है उन्होंने, और डेफिनेटली वो वन ऑन वन वर्सेस वन में अच्छा है, लेकिन जो फाइनल क्रॉस है या फिर फाइनल जो उसका शॉट है, आई थिंक वो काफी बार अभी पिछले कुछ टाइम से मतलब क्या बोलते हैं कि उतना इंप्रेसिव नहीं रहा है। सो प्लेयर अब साथी प्लेयर भी आप देखें उनके जो है वो भी थोड़ा सा भी मतलब खुद ही शॉट लेने की कोशिश करते हैं या फिर दूसरा ऑप्शन चूज करते हैं। सो आई थिंक ही नीड्स टू स्टेप अप हिज गेम एंड धीरे धीरे अगर चांगते राइट पे फिट हो गया, अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस आने लगा उसका वहां पे भी, देन आई थिंक डेफिनेटली विक्रम प्रताप फिर सॉरी चांगते अगर लेफ्ट में हो गया सेटल देना, तो फिर विक्रम प्रताप आपका पास राइट पे ऑप्शन बन जाएगा अच्छा, तो फिर विपिन के लिए काफी मुश्किल हो जाएगा कि वो अपनी जगह रख पाएगा।
exactly. Mindset, Lord Beke, we've spoken about Partner's performance already and completely agree with your comments. Done a great job today. Praveen will get to the Asian Games topic after this. We'll firstly finish off discussing today's ISL match and then we'll get to it. Same Shaggy. Um, Ishan saying Gaurav Bora should have played. What do you guys think?
I think so.
It's an
Exactly.
interesting one. I think it's an interesting one. Which, what does the coach decide with his lineups, and what did he try to do? Again, you had a number of players playing who have played together at Srinidhi last season, and they just not didn't play. They played very well together, and so maybe that was an idea of the coach to try and bring and play Ashik Akhtar and play Dinesh Singh there. I don't know. Northeast have options. I think that's the biggest difference to last season. That last season the squad or the first 11 was very predictable, even though the coach, of course, tried some things last season. But this season, they have options. And I think there are certain players, as we've seen yesterday with Punjab FC as well, who come from an I-League background and that they need a little bit of time to settle into the ISL, because the ISL is a little faster, a little quicker. The foreigners are a little better. So that makes a difference. So I think some of these players will need some time.
Yeah. Hiren, word on Gaurav Bora.
डेफिनेटली आई थिंक बिकॉज गौरव बोरा को इसलिए मैं देखना चाहता हूँ क्योंकि दुरान कप को उसको उसको अपॉर्चुनिटी दिया था एंड जितना भी अपॉर्चुनिटी उसको दुरान कप के मिला है आई थिंक ही इम्प्रेस्ड। सो दैट्स व्हाई मतलब मेरे को लगा था कि शायद गौरव बोरा के साथ वो एज अ फर्स्ट चॉइस सेंटर बैक जाएंगे, लेकिन सर की बात भी सही है कि यहाँ पे श्रीनिधि में दोनों साथ में खेल चुके हैं सिरन दिनेश, तो दैट भी वन ऑफ द रीजन ऑल्सो कि कोच ने यहाँ पे पहले मैच में देखा होगा। लेकिन आई थिंक धीरे धीरे अगर परफॉर्मेंस यहाँ पे इंप्रूव यहाँ पे नहीं हुई दिनेश या फिर आसिफ की, तो डेफिनेटली गौरव बोरा विल बी ब्रिंग्स अप। एंड मैं यहाँ पे जो रानित अधिकारी भाई ने शायद पूछा है ऑफ साइड का, वो मतलब वो गोल क्यों डिसअलाउड हुआ जो मुंबई सिटी का जो सेकंड हाफ में था,
Yeah, we'll discuss
इंटरफेरेंस
it.
कहाँ पे था वहां पे?
For me, the reason it was disallowed again. These I don't like these calls that come that say that you're in the line of the side with the keeper. I think even if he wasn't there, that was going in the back of the net. Keeper had missed it. But yeah, that the funda was that the defender was the Changti, I think, was in front of the keeper. He was in the line of sight and he was in an offside position. That's why it was given offside. That's the funda behind it. We saw this happen in the Premier League, I think yesterday. Rasmus Højlund. It happened last night, Manchester
हाँ,
United game.
ये-
Same thing happened and it was disallowed. Johnny Evans' goal was disallowed for offside. We've seen it go the other way also. It's happened before that some referees don't give it. For example, it happened with Manchester City, Manuel Akanji a few weeks ago. They gave the goal.
हाँ.
So it just depends on the referee on your day. If they feel like you're interfering with play, they just don't give it. What do you guys think about it? What do you guys think about this line of sight thing? Keeper's line of sight.
ये देखिए ये ग्रे एरिया में आ जाता है, मतलब ये फिर वो रेफरी के ऊपर आ जाता है कि उसको कौन सा लगता है कि ये लाइन ऑफ साइट है कि नहीं, क्योंकि वो आप
Exactly.
एक्चुअल में तो आपको पता नहीं लगेगा, वो इंटेंशन वाला हो गया। काफी बार वो नहीं होता कि इंटेंशन हाँ एंड का आज ही का आई थिंक ये आर्सेनल वाले गेम में ही था, आप देखिए रोमेरो का वो, तो वो मतलब उतनी क्लोज पोजीशन से कोई बंदा कैसे मतलब हाथ नीचे हैंड ला सकता है, वो नेचुरल पोजीशन ही है, फिर भी आपका रूल है कि आपको देना है हैंड पे लगा है। तो देना ही है, फिर वो वाली चीज है। तो वो मतलब ग्रे एरिया की, जहाँ पे रेफरी को जो सही लगेगा वही मतलब सच माना जाएगा, बेसिकली वो वाली चीज है। एंड पहले में भी काफी, पहले गोल में थोड़ा सा क्लोज कॉल था ऑफसाइड का, बट आई डोंट थिंक सो कि वो ऑफसाइड था। अगर वहां पे लाइन खींचती तो आई डोंट थिंक सो कि वो ऑफसाइड होता, मतलब जानते ओन ओन ही खेल रहा था वो। So that
Yeah.
was also one of the close call, and एक पेनल्टी का भी था, आई थिंक होर्हे परेरा डियाज वाला क्रॉस आया था, आई थिंक ग्रेग स्टुअर्ट की ओर से, और होर्हे परेरा डियाज को यहाँ पे आई थिंक यासिर अहमद ने ही दोनों
Yeah.
हाथ आगे रख के वो खींच लिया। वो दैट वाज अ पेनल्टी, दैट वाज अ पेनल्टी।
Yeah. Yeah. These
That was also
those calls
another.
never get given. I don't understand why. I don't
हाँ,
know any particular reason. Those ones where it's in the box and there's hands are all over the attacker, they never get given.
The question is if the referee or the assistant on that side, um, that they saw or see such a situation. I think sometimes,
हाँ,
if you are as a defender, if you're smart, and again I go back to something I played myself last week against ex Bundesliga pros, and when I went up as a striker, um, I played against a guy called Lukas Zinkiewicz who used to play at Cologne and Bayer Leverkusen and all. He was always smart when he was pulling and tugging me. And the ref is a third division ref, so the ref is good. The ref to me says he's not doing anything to you, and it was a friendly game, right? So, yeah. So anyway, it's sometimes it's given, sometimes it's not given, and yeah, if you get it, it's okay. If you don't get it, it's not. It's I think.
बट सर
Oh,
सर, नहीं
yeah.
नहीं, मेरे को इसमें इंडिया ये आईएसएल में रेफरिंग में क्या लगता है कि जितना मतलब आपने जैसे बोला कि जितना कम्युनिकेशन साइड रेफरी से होना चाहिए, उतना मतलब ये लोग करते नहीं है जनरली, जो मैंने देखा है कि इस तरह के डिसीजन में थे वो मतलब उसके इंस्टिंक्ट के साथ ही वो चले जाते हैं।
I think the question is, did they see it? And I have sometimes the feeling they don't see it. Bashayan, nice new home for you. Welcome.
Like, very
Ah,
sorry to everybody. I was a bit
uh,
late in doing some work.
No.
can you please go back and play the piano? And while we do the show, would be, I think, would liven
Yes,
up
we
the
can.
mood. Huh?
I'll try to do so.
So I think the refereeing is something. Lord Baker is saying. As talking about that horrible refereeing, I don't think so. I think the referee has been so far decent in the ISL. We've had much worse refereeing in the last few years. So I don't know. Referee bashing, it doesn't help. We have to live with the referees we have. They will not become world class referees overnight. So uh, uh, yeah. So we have to
Yeah.
live with that.
Yeah. Abhishek Ghosh, how good was Parthiv, Falguni, and Dinesh? I think I agree, at least with regards to Parthiv and Falguni, both of them were brilliant. Uh, we've spoken about it again.
I think Falguni is a player I like. I
Yeah.
like the style of that he has. He has
हाँ,
um this coolness, this calmness on the ball,
हाँ,
and he's not the tallest and the most solid looking player.
फिजिकल,
He's slim, thin player, but he's got that class with his feet. I think that's
ठीक
the
है,
strength of and he's one of those typical Manipuris who can play with the ball,
हाँ,
right? We've got quite a few of them in the ISL, I League, and even in the lower leagues. So and I give, again, it was mentioned earlier on, huge credit to him, that on the day his father died, that he actually took the field, and
फिर हाँ,
put out such a performance. I think that's huge respect, to him. So yeah, I think I think other players would have opted out, but again, he came, and played for his team. Big respect.
तो
100%.
उसको उसको मेरे को इम्प्रेस किया था लास्ट ईयर हीरो सुपर कप में, जब सिंधी के लिए खेल रहा था।
Hmm.
बहुत जबरदस्त परफॉर्मेंस था उस टफ ग्रुप में, जहाँ पे आई थिंक पंजाब थी और ये केरला और बेंगलुरु एफसी वाले ग्रुप में। आई थिंक तीनों ही मैच में उसने मतलब जबरदस्त परफॉर्मेंस दी थी।
Yes.
Ashu, understand that Changte isn't tall, and he probably, how can he block the vision of again, like it's just how they interpret it. You just can't.
हाँ,
This
एग्जैक्टली, हाँ,
unfortunately we don't get every angle, and it just depends on the referee on the day, and
Yeah.
yeah, can't really do much about those. But yeah, Shayan, we were talking about this hot topic right now. Offsides they're given for players who are right in front of the keeper who are standing there. What do you think about this funda?
See, this is something which is again it calls for another discussion actually. See, these are things which have been which I think the world governing FIFA is followed. The offside rule has been in place for a long time right now. So this is something. Sometimes I feel it's fair. I think in that way. If you ask me my personal opinion, I think it is fair, and I think that there is no if you are standing with an goalkeeper and alone, and that gives you advantage. So I think the offside rule which is there, I think that's quite logical, and this is something which is an offside in that case. So I suggest the traditional way, and I think I think it is something which is it's an offside. You're taking advantage, you being in a position where you are there. So I think that in that way, when I don't know about what Arunavada or Harry said, but I think in that way that it's offside. No, you stand in front of goalkeeper, you take advantage. Why you take this advantage? The game should be even Stevens. So
Yeah.
that's why I think in that way.
Yeah, for me, it's I don't think I have a middle stance. For me, if it's the underdog and I'm supporting that team, in this case, I'm 100% with the referees because they didn't allow it. Otherwise, I might change my opinion another day.
Okay. So when it goes against BFC, you would have said, "Wow, mistake by the referee."
100%,
Okay. It
hundred
was
percent.
चालू का पुड़िया बोलता है इसको
मतलब
अपन
अच्छा
हाँ.
लास्ट ईयर अरुणा लास्ट ईयर इन द फर्स्ट गेम ऑफ आईएसएल बीएफसी एंड नॉर्थ ईस्ट यूनाइटेड याद है आपको
Oh yeah. There was
नॉर्थ
there
ईस्ट
was one.
यूनाइटेड
What was to call like Northeast goal last
That
minute.
goal,
नॉर्थ ईस्ट नहीं भाई
not last second injury time. I
Yeah,
think if I'm not
yeah,
wrong, Northeast United goal,
Injury
which
time.
seemed genuine, but the
करेक्ट
referee didn't give it. So in that case, Rahul would have said it was offside. No?
100%, 100%. But Arnava, like
Yeah.
just coming back to the game, did it ever feel like Mumbai City were threatened when it was 2-1? Did it feel like Northeast have a chance of maybe equalizing? Were you ever concerned?
They had chances to equalize, but I still have the feeling that Mumbai still have another goal or two to score.
Hmm.
I would have thought that they would have scored a third or fourth one in the second half, which they didn't. And this is something I think which is good for the league so far. You know, so yeah, if they do settle down, then they walk away most probably with a 4-1, 5-1. Again, at the back, they didn't look as strong as they have been, in the past. Nawaz looked a little rusty, I felt. He hasn't played a match for quite some time. But again, did a good job in the end. So therefore, again, let them settle down, and then they will become even more dangerous. And I think that's the charm. That's the interesting part with Mumbai City and with some of the other teams as well. I think Mumbai City needs to peak at the right time and see what they do in the coming games. They've got tough games coming up in the league and in the Champions League as well. So therefore, and again, they now go and travel to Odisha on Thursday for a very interesting match against Sergio Lobera and a number of players who have a background or a history with Mumbai City being there, having won titles. So it's gonna be an interesting one. So, but again, I think important was for the day that Mumbai City won the game and endured there at the top with 3 points with the others. I think that was the most important one.
Yeah. Abhishek making this a very interesting, bold observation or request. What if there was no offside in football, Hiren? What if FIFA did away? I mean, at a point there was no offside. Law, if we go back in history, there was no offside. Really back, yeah. But
When
Hiren, what?
Cheyenne used to be young, at that time there was no offside.
I am young now also. No,
We see
I'll
your
be young
villa,
till
na.
80 years. So.
Cheyenne now lives in a villa, na. It looks like he's moved to New York from Kolkata very recently.
No.
I see the fireplace in the background. Chal raha hai, acha chal raha hai now.
I mean, it's hard to imagine football without offside today, Hiren.
I
Hmm.
yeah. Bolo
Yeah,
bhai.
no.
No, I think then you have to change quite a bit. I think if you would consider copying the rules of hockey, I think you would have to do away with. You would have
90
to
minutes
bring
of
in
game.
yeah, 90 minutes of
Rolling
game
subs.
with rolling substitutions. All those kind of things. It would be a radical change to football.
Yeah.
And the question is, how would the game change? Would you have to install something like like blue cards and other things, with time penalties and other things? You would have to radically change the game. I think there are certain things that you can do. I think the offside question is one, in regard to blocking situations. Handball, they've changed a lot over the years, and is it better, is it worse, can be discussed. I think VAR, whenever it comes to Indian football, in a light form or in a full form, will be interesting to see. So therefore there's a lot of things that are happening, and a lot of things that can happen in regard to the development. And yeah But again, I think it would be too radical to try and copy what hockey has done.
Yeah, agreed. Completely agreed. Um, on the game, Hiren, both Rahul and Akash looked off color to you today, did they?
Not off
I
color, I would
understand
say,
Rahul.
but I think for both average game, I would say not that great, that much great. Because I think अगर आप सारे अटैक्स देखें तो उसमें आकाश मिश्रा का उतना ज्यादा कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं दिखा है, तो जनरली हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं क्योंकि इज ए ऑफेंसिव फुल बैक, हम जनरली एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि मतलब और ज्यादा वो क्या बोलते हैं कि ओवरलैप होगा उठा, लेकिन फिर भी एफर्ट अच्छा था. एंड आई थिंक आफ्टर चांगते कम ऑन दैट लेफ्ट साइड, आई थिंक थोड़ा सा मेरे को और ज्यादा बेटर दिखा कंपेयर टू विपिन, क्योंकि विपिन के टाइम पे ज्यादातर वो थोड़ा सा डिफेंसिवली पीछे ही रह रहा था, उतना ज्यादा आगे नहीं आ पा रहा था. बट आई थिंक लेट्स सी हाउ ही इज गोइंग टू develop his game in this Mumbai City playing style. And Rahul Beke, I think average game, I would say, not that bad or not that great.
Yeah, fair enough. Shan, last one on this game for you, because I remember, I think you said that Northeast are not as bad. People are sleeping on them. They are clearly better than before. Where do you see them? What do you make of this game, and where do you see them in this season?
See, I've always maintained this while I was doing all the transfer market news and how the teams was building up for different teams. I always said everywhere that don't count out Northeast for this season. They can pull up many surprise, and I am very very sure that they would do. And today being their first game, they were up against last year's Shield champions, a very strong team, very very strong team. Mumbai City FC, uh, I think, is one of the strongest team in the ISL right now. We have no doubts about it, and we are again very much sure they will finish in top three or top two, max top three. What I've seen of the game. So against them, Northeast played with hard out. I think they had some plan. I agree with Onauda, what he said that Mumbai had their chances. They could have scored one or two more. I also expected after that goal happened. I also thought that Mumbai should have scored two or more. But I think tactically, Northeast tried to equalize. They had some their moments, but they were unable to do it. There may be X factors. I really liked few of the players of them. I think Parthiv Gogoi, I think I really liked him, and I think Nestor, both of them stood. I think both of them stood out. I think Muhammad Ali was also one of the players. I think people should have their eye out when they see them in the rest of the ISL games, because this team, I'm again saying you, they have lost their first game, but I have huge hopes this team could go to the level and call to be in part of top six also,
More than East
because
Bengal.
Yeah,
what way?
on top
क्या
of
बोल-
East Bengal,
More
what
than
do you want?
high hopes more than East Bengal.
the hope that we can discuss offline.
Akash, yeah, Akash mentions Bipin probably is not combining well enough with with Akash Mishra. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's already mentioned that he could be the likely one to be dropped in future games for Vikram Pratap. So now let's talk about Asian games.
That's the most important game.
again, for me personally,
Most
disappointing
important.
again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Pardon.
Um, guys, let's jump into it because again,
Oh, no,
Arnava,
please, please.
what do you think about it? Because to me, disappointing again, penalty. Kind of lucky because I felt like Rahim Ali had gotten into a position where he couldn't have shot anymore. He was lucky that somebody from behind came and just charged into him. That on another day, that penalty wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have had the lead. What did you make of the game?
Um, we were complaining a few matches ago with the national team that other teams are getting penalties and goals and this and that, and now two penalties have sort of saved our backside, to put it
Yeah.
nicely. Um, we've not scored a goal from open play in 3 matches. Sorry, we did against China. Sorry, I forgot Rahul KP. Sorry, no,
Yeah.
my mistake, my bad. But
That goal gave us a ticket to the round of 16. That goal gave us a ticket to the round of 16.
that if we hadn't scored that goal, we would have finished below Myanmar. So
Yeah.
so so that's the reality. Um, and anyone starting with the head coach talking about India's ranking. And I always say that. I say, forget the ranking. I will say we're about 125 in the world. Plus minus 5 at the moment. We are not a top 100 side. So let's not bullshit ourselves. Let's be honest to ourselves. Um, you know,
Yeah.
and that's my concern. You know, with all the talking, all the big talk, I don't see any development. Whatever the team, the boys are giving 100%. So big respect to all the boys that are in China. But somehow, I don't know. Those of you who watched the highlights of the women, I was more interested in the women's game today,
100%.
or the other day as
Exactly
well.
this.
Actually,
ये मैंने उस दौरान मैच चल रहा था मैच का, किसी ने ये बोला था, तो मैंने उसी टाइम बोला था कि इससे अच्छा चाहे मैं वुमेन्स टीम हार गई है, लेकिन उनका गेम प्ले हम इससे मच बेटर था, मतलब एटलीस्ट
Exactly.
देखने के लिए मजा आ रहा था उनका कि हाँ भाई ये खेल रहे हैं. एग्जैक्टली वही वाली चीज.
Thomas Deneby has a plan. He doesn't need to speak about it. We see it on the field.
Yeah.
And if you see the experience our girls are getting, be it through the IWL, but especially those who have gone abroad, Manisha Kalyan is, you see the difference of this girl.
Yeah.
Right? You see Bala Devi with the experience she has via Glasgow Rangers. So therefore, yeah, the potential in our women's game is huge. And the sad part is, thank you, Shushmit, for that. The reality is that we are discussing so much of ISL and men's football, and we are in a negative spiral, actually, despite of whatever people say. We need to get out of that somehow. But for that, you need leadership. And I go back, we don't have the leadership. We do not. And there need to be tough decisions taken. Who is going to stand up for Indian football? Nobody. Because they are patting each other's back. Get lost. Get out of Indian football. You are destroying Indian football. Get out of it. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
For me, biggest concern, I want to add that for me, biggest concern is the next batch or the next pipeline of the players who is coming for the national team. I think that's the biggest concern for me. I'm not seeing any, you can say, major improvement on them. They are extraordinary than current crop of players. So that's the biggest concern for me.
Correct.
We are not seeing because I think already Sunil sir multiple times mentioned it. If currently India at around 100 rank because of the level of Sunil Chetri, Sandesh Jingan, Changte, whatever you call it. But to get from this 100 to 50, 60, 70, you need a much better player than Sunil Chetri currently, or you can say Sandesh Jingan or Changte, because this is not the level which can take you to the you can say ranking wise in 60, 70, or you can into the World Cup qualifiers. You need a much better players to compete at that level. So I think that's for me the biggest concern. We are not seeing the players who are you can say ki showing promising talent in terms of the international level wise, and not enough chances also. They are not getting enough chances also, because we see all the youth teams are only playing SAF and these qualifier matches, no in between matches, not a single matches. So that's the biggest concern for both my men's and women's both, under 17, under 19, under 23, whichever team you pick it, they only play SAF and they only play FC qualifier matches, no in between matches. So that's the biggest concern for me. If our bench strength, or you can say our youngster who are coming into the national setup, are not that you can say step ahead from their from our current crop of players.
Yeah. Guys, before again we continue discussing about this game. Everybody watching, please do share your support and subscribe to Indian Food and Football Science channel, Arun Food, Sports Khabri, and Curious Harry. We'll try to bring as much content to you as possible on Indian football, on the ISL, international matches, and everything related to Indian football. Hiren, I know you've been vocal on this topic. Rahim Ali, today, what did you make of his performance? Because there are a couple of people who are asking, Lord Beke saying his penalty saved us today, but what did you? I felt like he was lucky to get a penalty there because he had overrun it, and there was no time to get a shot.
If there is a no tackle from behind, then that वो फिर भी फिनिश नहीं कर पाता, बहुत पक्की
Exactly.
बात थी उसमें, कोई डाउट किसी को डाउट नहीं होना चाहिए, खुद रहीम अली को भी डाउट नहीं होगा उसमें. And I think the main thing for me is, why not asking to Igor Stemic, why are you playing them again and again tournament after the tournament? I don't think see any other striker get this much you can say chances after the poor performance every time.
Yeah.
That's for me biggest concern. Why no one asking, and why he is not giving clarification on Rahim Ali? He is talking all the things, all about Indian football. But why not is talking about this thing?
Yeah.
I don't clearly understand. मतलब Rahim Ali, I think अगर next Merdeka Cup में वो select हुआ, then I think that's the मतलब क्या बोलते कि I think he has something on Stimac, simple as that. Otherwise this can't be true.
Yeah, but
आई
Akash
थिंक
with
इतना चांस है वो क्या बोलते कि सोहेल भट्ट को दे दिया होता, डेविड लेने सैमला को दिया होता, गुरकीरत को दे दिया होता, वो आपको भाई एटलीस्ट एक दो गोल तो स्कोर कर दे देते. नॉट अ सिंगल गोल, नॉट अ सिंगल गोल. ही इज प्लेइंग फ्रॉम द आई थिंक हीरो ट्राई नेशन, इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल, साफ, किंग्स कप, नाउ विथ दिस 5 tournaments on a row,
Correct.
and still you are not in the scoring set.
yeah. Akash has presented a general point of view, Shayan, on the team. What do you make of this team? Do you think it is good? And to be fair to the team, they haven't gotten time together. I remember Arnav, we spoke about this before the tournament even started. It was just a
But
bunch
how
of
many
guys.
teams have? Listen,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
point
yeah,
is all teams, again, when we go into the Kings Cup, Iraq didn't get time, Lebanon didn't get time, Thailand didn't get time, right?
yeah.
Asian Games, most, again, take China out. China prepared for this tournament because for them, everything that China did around the Asian Games, they prepared properly. Everybody else, the teams literally turned up, trained maybe for 1, 2, 3 days, and then started playing. But you have now had a week of training in between the matches. Of course, there's more of recovery than playing, but again, you still have had time. You were talking the other day, listen, I will do my tactical stuff with the players at the airport, in the lounge, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, don't do your training, but at least talk about the tactical stuff. So, is that a proof that you don't understand your tactics?
Correct.
Yeah.
These players are
Exactly.
bad. The core of this team is the under 17 World Cup squad. The core of this team. So these players are not inexperienced. And this is a question we should ask in Indian football. Why is it that our players who are playing now regularly in the ISL, who are getting their matches, are unable to adjust to what the coach wants at
Do,
international level?
to do basic thing rights. That's for me is also one of the most important question या
because
मतलब आप प्रो प्लेयर
हाँ,
है, यू आर अ प्रो प्लेयर.
Yeah.
and that's my biggest concern is, and I say this and nobody wants to talk about it, we need to work at the grassroots and the youth level, that the coaching gets better than the players with the basics. I see that with the Japanese. Again, the Japanese play at the lower level here in Germany. They come here. Düsseldorf is the biggest Japanese community outside of Japan. They play 5th, 6th, 7th division. Their football basics nowadays are better than Germans. We're talking about Japan. Japan the other day beat Germany 4-1. And it's not a fluke. We're talking about an Asian nation. But they have had a plan. We talk about big plans. Where is the implementation?
Yeah.
Simple thing.
Yeah.
But
Where is
overall,
youth
this
leagues?
implementation problem is there for a long time. Even they were
It has been not for a long time. It's been there always.
done.
It's not there.
Ah,
The
ah,
implementation of Indian football is sadly a biggest problem, because
ah,
we
That
have
is
the potential. Anyone who questions the potential, I feel, is wrong. We have the potential.
ah.
But the question is, we have laid an emphasis and a focus on the physical side of things. Our teams are much, much better physically. I mean, I saw that myself with my own eyes against Lebanon, against Kuwait in the SAF Cup. We are physically good. But the question, uh, 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 um, why are we technically so weak?
Yeah.
Why are our players struggling with the basics? And
And
mindset, you're
Sushmit,
right. Forget the Japanese again, Myanmar, and again we go back. Tri-Nation series in March. Myanmar was better than us technically. Kyrgyzstan was better than us technically. I've seen better
yes.
teams in Lebanon, Kuwait.
Oh no, I'll go to that front and say Nepal was in fact better than us technically, if you ask me. With the ball.
Listen, training and all that stuff is nice, but if my players know how to play, the French could tomorrow produce 10 national teams most probably. And you could put anyone into that team and they'll play. The Dutch know what system to play. What is a system? Do we know what the system is? Is our under 16, 17, our under 19, 20, under 23s, our A team? What system? Who's playing what? What kind of players do we have? We talk about our strikers. Okay. When they crop up, are we developing them? How are we developing our players? This under 23 fiasco, that is the real question. Last match was on the 30th of October 2021 during the pandemic in the under 23 qualifiers in Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates. And the next match was earlier this month.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so to me is Aniket, you have a point, of course, for training, for passing, training, separate system, and all that. I get that, but the point is at the top level, the players should know the basics. Again, we played with a fun team of players against or overage players in against ex Bundesliga pros. We were put in positions we've never played. I even played as a center back. I've never played center back in my life, but I know my positioning at least. Where to stand, how to get out of danger. Right? So I am not asking, this is not rocket science. These are basics. And Lord Baker raising the topic of youth leagues. When and where are the youth leagues happening? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Teams have they don't even know, are we playing under 13, 15, 17, 19, or are we playing 13, 15, 18? Nobody knows. And investment is going into grassroots, baby leagues. We've got tons of baby leagues across the country. But my question is, the leagues and all that stuff are nice, but you have to structure it in such a way that you focus on the kids and the coaches work on the basics, and you also get as many kids as possible to play. you don't only play your best players. The kid who's peaking at 10, 11 might not be peaking at 20 or 25.
Correct.
And this is, we are struggling with the basics, and that is the worrying sign. And again,
Exactly.
this Asian Games squad without Sunil, I don't know if it would have progressed to the next round. That is the big worry.
Yeah. Sushmit's pointed out a couple of times actually here, saying that we need better coaches and we need to improve at grassroots, like you just mentioned, I don't know. And yeah, and I honestly, personally, also, I'd like to add that I've said this before. I have a younger brother, and to be honest, like a lot of the technical stuff that I ask him to learn is from the television. I'm like, see what these guys are doing because, to be honest, not everything is taught to him at football school or at his club. Yeah, I mean, it's just sad, isn't it? Well, for India in the Asian Games, Saudi Arabia next, round of 16, Shine. What are your expectations for this?
My expectation from this team is that I was seeing one of the comments by one of the followers is saying that India is playing their B, C, D team. Yeah, yeah, I think Myanmar is also not fielding their A team over
Yeah,
here, so you should accept that also. So
Nobody
there
is
is no
feeling their
room
A
of
team.
excuse.
Shayan,
Yes,
nobody is feeling their A
yes,
team in this competition.
I, and that's the
Saudi
point I'm
also
trying
may
to
be
make.
sending their under 20 teams. I think उनकी
Under
भी
20,
मतलब
not
under
under
23 की 23
under
की टीम
21 टीम
नहीं है.
भेजा उसने, under 21 का टीम भेजा
हाँ,
उसने. So that is the thing, no? Means, this is something, no, we need to understand. And so before we go to the Saudi game, I want to just highlight the game we played
yeah,
against today and the
yeah,
game we
yeah,
played in Myanmar. See, if we are unable to beat Myanmar, a team ranked 160th in the world right now. 160 is their current ranking. And as Arunavda correctly said, do we really stand at 102? Many people were saying, "Are hum log 100 ke niche aa gaye." There many of my friends asked me, "Is it a bad sign?" I think we should be 130 or 125. That's the original ranking, and he says it correctly. Because if you see, we have been doing well in our all the games which we have played in India. When we travel or when we are in a neutral venue, we always struggle, and this is the problem we have faced. Not now, we have been facing out for a long time. Today, if you are unable to beat Myanmar and you always require a Sunil Chetri to get you out, you require him to get you out against Bangladesh. You need to get him get him to out, need him to get you out against Nepal. You need him to get you out against Myanmar. That shows you don't have any plan. And a few days back, I was discussing with Vincenzo, who is currently coaching the Nepal national team. He said me one important thing. Shine, football is not Nepali, no, the Nepal football team and Indian football team. If you see with the ball, they are better than Indian players but we didn't have a Sunil Chetri. So if that
yeah,
is the difference between a team which is 180 or 170, so what will happen? And we have been raising this again. Why we don't give chance to a player? We are giving chance to Rahim Ali when Harry was saying this. How many times a person needs to get a chance to prove himself? There are other players also who could have given a look into. I don't know why Rahim Ali is always considered in that way. So I was very, very disappointed. People may say that no, you can see that nahi, we have been in the round of 16 after 13 years. 13 years का भी story है 2018 में तो हम लोग खेले ही नहीं भाई. 2018 तो we have not played. उसके बाद तो 2014 में था. उसमें तो we were in a very tough group. So let's face the facts. 13 years ऐसा कुछ पहला बार कुछ नहीं हुआ ये चीज. So
पहला तो मेरे को यही समझ में नहीं आता कि ये एशियन गेम्स से इतना मतलब गागा क्यों है कि एशियन गेम्स
हाँ ये
खेलने जा रहे हैं. अरे ये क्या है एशियन गेम्स फुटबॉल में? जा रहे तो जा
no
रहे,
issue.
नो
Yeah,
जाते नहीं जाते फिर भी कुछ
country
फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
no
बोले
country is taking
ये
it
सच
seriously.
में.
और हम
हाँ,
लोग सीरियसली लेके टीम भेजे. यू सेंड योर कैप्टन विद द टीम. You send your best defender, one of the best defenders from the senior team. Then also you are struggling. My concern is that you are struggling against Myanmar. You are not able to beat Myanmar. अगर इनको
मैंने
डोमिनेट नहीं
मैंने
कर पाए
मैं,
क्या
मैं,
पासिंग
मैं,
फुटबॉल
मैंने
भाई. हमको पासिंग फुटबॉल नहीं चाहिए
हाँ
भाई, ऐसा अगर खेलना है पासिंग
हमने
फुटबॉल,
जब पहले
पोजीशन बेस्ड फुटबॉल जो, बताओ 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 प्लीज बताओ बताओ
मैं ये बोल रहा था
बताओ
कि
महेश
हमने जब
बोलो।
पहले एशियन गेम से पहले डिस्कस किया था, उस टाइम पे भी हमने बोला था कि एशियन गेम्स में आपको आपकी ऐसी टीम भेजनी चाहिए कि जिसको आप बी टीम के लिए रेडी करना चाहते हो, अंडर 23 के लिए रेडी करना चाहते हो, आप उसमें भी सीनियर प्लेयर्स लेके जा रहे हो। आज एक बंदे ने ट्विटर पे, मतलब उस टाइम पे मैं बोला था कि भाई आप क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव है आपके एशियन गेम से। दो ही ऑब्जेक्टिव आपके हो सकते हैं। एक ऑब्जेक्टिव आपका था, काफी सारे लोग बोल रहे थे कि एशियन गेम्स में इंडिया में ज्यादा लोग देखते हैं, एशियन गेम्स को फॉलो करते हैं, तो अगर फुटबॉल टीम वहां पे मेडल के कंटेस्ट में आती है तो और भी लोग जुड़ेंगे। जो कि आप कंप्लीटली फेल हो चुके हो उस ऑब्जेक्टिव से, क्योंकि बांग्लादेश के सामने आपने ऐसा गेम प्ले किया है कि कोई भी बंदा एक बार, पहली बार अगर वो मैच देख रहा है फुटबॉल का, इंडियन फुटबॉल टीम का, तो दोबारा नहीं आके देखेगा, वो तो पक्की बात है। ना तो उसको एंटरटेनमेंट मिला है वहां पे, ना तो और कुछ मिला है, वो सिंपल सी बात है। काफी सारे लोग इस म्यांमार गेम के बाद बोलने भी लगे थे कि भाई हमने साफ से देखना चालू किया था, लेकिन अब लग रहा है कि भाई अभी क्या चल रहा है। काफी सारे लोगों ने मेरे को लाइव में ये कमेंट किया था इस चीज। ठीक है, तो आपका जो ऑब्जेक्टिव था वो वैसे भी अभी खत्म हो जाएगा, क्योंकि राउंड ऑफ 16 में आप बाहर हो रहे हो, ये पक्की बात है। एज अ फैन हम बोलेंगे कि हम कर लेंगे, वो अपने को दिलासा देने वाली बात होती है, सिंपल सी बात है। बाकी रियलिटी हम सबको पता है, they were much better prepared, they were much better skillful than us, Saudi under 21 team also. So if we bring in Sunil Chhetri, Sandeep Singh and whoever you brings it, वो अपनी अंडर 23 टीम साथ में भेजने वाले थे आपके सामने, ये हमको याद रखना चाहिए। अंडर 23 टीम अपनी साथ में आपके सामने भेजने वाले थे, आपकी सीनियर टीम के सामने। तो आपको लेवल पता होना चाहिए कि उनका लेवल क्या है और हमारा क्या है। तो जो आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव था कि फैंस को लाना है, उससे उल्टा तो आपने फैंस को कम कर दिया इस एशियन गेम में जाकर, जिस तरह की परफॉर्मेंस आपने दी है। दूसरा आपका एक ऑब्जेक्टिव हो सकता था, अगर आपको एशियन गेम्स में जाना ही था, तो एक आपकी अंडर 23 टीम को आप लेके जाते, उनको एक्सपोजर मिलता है चाइना के सामने और उन सबके सामने खेलने का। लेकिन यहाँ पे आप अंडर 23 टीम लेके जरूर गए हो, कुछ प्लेयर यहाँ पे है जिनको एक्सपोजर मिल रहा है, लेकिन उसका कोई फायदा नहीं है, क्योंकि ना तो आपने उनको ट्रेन करने का टाइम दिया है, ना तो उसको कोच के अंदर प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग करने का टाइम दिया है, ना तो किस तरह से आपका क्या बोलते हैं, एक दूसरे की अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए। ये ऐसे प्लेयर है कि जो अपने क्लब से आए, यहाँ पे खेल एक दिन खेल लिया, फिर वापस चले जाएंगे। इस इतने दिन में आप कुछ ये नहीं उसको क्या बोलते कि इंस्टिंक्ट कर सकते कि हाँ भाई इस तरह से आपको इंटरनेशनल मैचेस में करना है, सारी चीजें करनी है। प्लेयर्स के लिए यहाँ पे एक्सपोजर के नाम में कुछ है ही नहीं। प्रॉपर एक ट्रेनिंग करके, एक प्रॉपर तैयारी करके अगर आप मैच में उतरते हैं, तो प्लेयर को पता चलता है कि हाँ भाई एग्जैक्टली मैंने ये प्रिपेयर किया था, लेकिन ये सारी चीजें मेरे को अभी भी इंप्रूव करने की जरूरत है। यहाँ पे तो ये सिर्फ प्लेयरों को बोल दिया जाता है कि तुम्हारे में जितना टैलेंट है उतना खेल लो, क्योंकि आपने प्रिपेयर किया ही नहीं है। जो आपका दूसरा ऑब्जेक्टिव है वो भी फेल है। तो एशियन गेम आपके लिए ऑब्जेक्टिव वाइज पूरा फेल हो चुका है, चाहे आप कुछ भी बोलिए, ये रियलिटी है। दिस इज द रियलिटी एंड दैट्स व्हाई पहले भी हम बोल रहे थे। आज एक बंदे ने बोला भी मेरे को ट्विटर में कि मैं आपको पहले अगेंस्ट बोल रहा था, लेकिन आपकी बात मेरे को अब समझ में आई कि क्यों हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव फेल हो रहा है। आज के परफॉर्मेंस के बाद उसने बोला, यहाँ पे एक पूरा थ्रेड लिखा है उसने। तो ये यही पहले हम बोल रहे थे कि भाई आप फुटबॉल के नजरिए से देखो कि भाई एशियन गेम का क्या महत्व है, क्या होना चाहिए। आप हर जगह पे अपनी सीनियर टीम के प्लेयर लेकर, आकाश मिश्रा को भी आपको हर जगह पे चाहिए, अपूया भी हर जगह पे चाहिए, आपको जिक्सन सिंह भी हर जगह पे चाहिए। तो दूसरे प्लेयर कब खेलेंगे? दूसरे प्लेयर कब खेलेंगे जब जो सीनियर टीम में आ चुका है उसको भी आप हर जगह पे लेके जा रहे हो? सुनील छेत्री सर के बिना आपको चलता नहीं है। फिर आप बोलते हो कि आईएसएल में स्ट्राइकर वो होना चाहिए। आप सुनील छेत्री सर के बिना खेलना लो, आप दे दो मौका।
एटलीस्ट
ये तो
ग्रेसन ने
देना
तो
नहीं है
दिया है
किसी को।
भाई, ग्रेसन ने तो फिर भी शिव शक्ति को ट्राई किया है, एटलीस्ट ट्राई तो किया है भाई। आप किसको
एग्जैक्टली।
ट्राई किए हो लास्ट 2 साल में? आपको
Yeah.
नेपाल मैच में
टुडेस
भी
मैच
सुनील
म्यांमार
छेत्री
डिजर्व टू
चाहिए,
विन।
सब
टुडेस
मैच में सुनील
मैच
छेत्री चाहिए।
टुडेस टुडेस मैच म्यांमार डिजर्व टू विन। द वे दे हैव परफॉर्म, दे लुक मोर सुपीरियर टीम देन अस। आप देखिए पूरा प्रॉपर वो गेम खेल रही थी, गेम प्ले देख लीजिए उनका, एवरीथिंग, इंटेंसिटी से लेके सब कुछ, प्लेयरों की क्वालिटी। और अरुणाचल ने बिल्कुल सही बोला, जब वो 1-0 से वहां पे जीते थे फाइनेंस में, तब भी देवर टेक्निकली मच बेटर देन अस, चाहे वो 160th रैंक थी। और आप देखिए फीफा में रैंकिंग में, चाहे अर्जेंटीना और वो सब क्या बोलते कि या फिर टॉप टीम हो कोई, वो रैंकिंग के लिए नहीं लड़ती। ऑब्जेक्टिव आपका दो ही होना चाहिए, एशियन कप एंड वर्ल्ड कप। सिंपल सी बात है, उसकी प्रिपरेशन करो, उसके हिसाब से चलो। ये एक ऐसे टूर्नामेंट के चक्कर में इधर उधर भटकोगे तो इसी में रह जाओगे, और इसी में आप अपना क्या बोलते कि वो टाइम वेस्ट करते रहोगे। यू हैव टू सी द लार्जर पिक्चर कि भाई हमें चाहे वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर्स के लिए अगर करनी है टीम रेडी, तो हमें यहाँ पे टफ डिसीजन लेने पड़ेंगे। आप हर जगह पे फिर वो करते रहोगे तो ऐसे तो आपका होगा ही नहीं। इसीलिए तो आप देखिए आपके जो अंडर 23 के जो प्लेयर आ रहे हैं, वो इतनी क्वालिटी में क्यों नहीं दिख रहे? क्योंकि उनको कभी मौका ही नहीं मिला है कहीं पे रिप्रेजेंट करने का, मौका ही नहीं मिला है उनको। हाईएस्ट लेवल पे, इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे मौका ही नहीं मिला। हर जगह पे आपको नेपाल से भी मैच हो, तब भी आपकी टॉप टीम जानी है, और वो भी टीम है तो भी टॉप टीम, आप दूसरे प्लेयर को मौका देंगे तो वो उसको पता चलेगा ना कि हाँ भाई ये होता है, आपको ट्रांजिशन तो करना पड़ेगा ना। आप अभी सारे लोग बोल रहे हैं कि सुनील छेत्री, सुनील छेत्री, सुनील छेत्री, अब उसकी जगह पे किसी को मौका ही नहीं दे रहे हो तो कैसे उसका रिप्लेसमेंट मिलेगा? आपको वो तो स्टार्ट तो करना पड़ेगा। और नेशनल टीम में भाई फिनिश प्रोडक्ट भी आने चाहिए, यहाँ पे आके पासिंग बासिंग नहीं सीखनी है, पोजीशनिंग और वो सब। काफी सारे बोलते हैं कि ट्रेनिंग नहीं मिला तो ये भी नहीं हो, अरे वो तो बेसिक चीज है भाई, वो भी नहीं हो रही तो आप काहे को, तो फिर हम ही खेल लेते हैं वहां पे, हमें और उसमें क्या फर्क है? ये सारी
Yeah.
चीजें तो बेसिक है। आप नेशनल टीम के कोच को ये नहीं सिखाना है कि तुम्हारी पासिंग कैसे होनी चाहिए, बॉल होल्डअप कैसे करना है। अगर वो सिखा रहा है वो, तो आपका मतलब फुटबॉल पूरा बेड़ा गर्क हो चुका है, अगर वो उसको वो सिखाना पड़ रहा है तो।
Fair enough. I think Hiren has really let out some steam with that. But it's true, I think, at the end of the day.
Actually,
it's
Yeah.
it's not it's not about steam. It's not about the steam. It's about the facts. And I think
Exactly.
I request also everyone who's watching the show, just share it with people, because I think the conversations that we are having on our platforms jointly or also independently, be it on Sports Khabri, on Curious Harry, on Indian Food and Football, and on our own foot, we want to be honest, and we're not critical for the sake of being critical. We are critical for the development. We want Indian football to develop. If you don't understand that, and you're just being a fanboy or a fangirl, that is not going to help Indian football, because we're nowhere near where we could and where we need to be. If we want to play a World Cup, don't give us, that dream of a World Cup where we're so far away, that the World Cup would have to hold, I don't know, 150 nations for us to play.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shine,
एक चीज में एक चीज में ऐड करना चाहता हूँ कि एक एक में ऐड कर देता हूँ बीच में, कि
और
हम
ऐड मत
वर्ल्ड
कर
कप का
भाई।
ड्रीम देख, नहीं वर्ल्ड कप का सपना देखते हैं हम, कुवैत हमारे ग्रुप में आ जाती है, कुवैत हमारे ग्रुप में, तो हमारी फट जाती है कि अब हम कैसे वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफिकेशन राउंड 3 में कैसे जाएंगे। कतार तो चलो डेंजर टीम है, कतार से 2 मैच हार जाओ कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, आपसे ऊपर की वाली टीम है, हार जाओ कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। कुवैत आने से आपकी आपकी हालत ये हो जाती है कि आप क्या बोलते हैं कि आप नेक्स्ट राउंड में कैसे जाओगे, आपको अभी से फैन बेस में भी डर है, तो हर किसी में डर है कि भाई अब नेक्स्ट राउंड में कैसे जाएंगे। तो कॉन्फिडेंस कहाँ पे है? आपको 100 रैंक वाली टीम का कॉन्फिडेंस है आपके पास? नहीं है।
Agreed.
Yeah. Sushmit, I think makes a great point. Yeah, I think that is it, right? Like everybody wants to hear these nice things, and unfortunately, nobody wants to talk about the realities. But this is what it is, and the reality is that we have Saudi Arabia coming up, guys. Just slightly moving back to the Asian Games. Shine?
नहीं, शायद कुछ कहने वाले थे बीच में, बोलो भाई।
Yeah, sorry, Shine.
नहीं मैं
If you-
एक्चुअली बोलने वाला था क्यों हैरी का नाम फ्यूरियस हैरी जो है, मतलब ही इज डूइंग जस्टिस टू हिज नेम एक्चुअली, ही इज
It's
बिकमिंग
very
मोर
hard.
पॉपुलर एज फ्यूरियस हैरी if you ask me. But jokes apart, he's I think what he said was to the point. I really agreed to what he and Arunavada said. This is something which we should understand before we coming to a conclusion. Just we should not be just a normal fanboy should be. You should understand, then we should comment. We are not against Indian football or the way Indian football is done. I think we are against that. It requires, we have been telling this many times. It started from July, I think, when we first June or July. This, you had this problem in September, but then people were not interested hearing it. Now, when Harry is saying, one of his followers is saying, asking him that, no, I was wrong in judging you, because people will also realize in coming times that what is correct and what is wrong. And this is something which will be developed through us or through other people who are doing good jobs in sharing perfect news. I think that is more important. Harry, I totally agree with you. अगर हम लोग कुवैत को भी सोचते हैं नहीं कर पाएंगे, तो ओनावदा इस एकदम, I agree with ओनावदा, 150 will be also this 160 नेशन के साथ ही तो आज जीतने के लिए, ड्रॉ करने के लिए हम लोग लगभग लड़खड़ा गए थे.
But that's the reality, no? Our biggest problem, in my opinion, is that whatever is happening in Indian football, the stakeholders are not working together to try and develop Indian football. That is our biggest problem. AFF is doing its own thing. The national coach seems to be doing his own thing. FSDL are doing their own thing. The clubs are doing their own thing, be it
Correct.
ISL, be it I League. And that's just the top level. We need to work together. And this is something foresight. I can't be troubleshooting all the time and then saying, we've done a great job. Right? And that is the concern. That are you aware this whole, because Steamach will go on and what he's saying, AFF with show cause notice and all, what has happened? Nothing has happened. He will keep on talking that, oh, November I'm not getting extra time. I'm not getting extra time for the Asian Cup. And I know from now multiple coaches in the ISL that they're fed up. And I think that in the next 2-3 weeks, the ISL coaches will start talking about it. And not talking about it in a nice way. And this is gonna blow up. And that is my concern. We need proper preparations going into what is coming up in the next few months. And I say this now, I said it in June, July, that September will be the first test. And we failed this badly. November is our next test. If you look at the current ISL scheduling, they just have 4 or 5 days. And those 2 matches, away in Kuwait and at home against Qatar, will set the tone for the other 4 matches to come next year, which might also be without Igor Stimac. And then we have the Asian Cup. And the question still remains, will the and if I see, you saw, I guess all of you, the tweet yesterday from the Secretary General, then one needs to be worried about Indian football. While patting one another back will not take us forward. We need to be honest internally, and we also need to be honest with the fans. And the Asian Games, to be very honest, I would have sent it under 21 or even the under 20s just for the exposure. That would have helped us much more. And we've been talking about this, the next generation of players. Where will they come from? The under 17s or under 19s who are playing at the moment, under 16s, under 19s, who will be under 17s, under 20s next year. Where is the Indian Arrows project for these kids to get the exposure? So, that's the challenge. And we need to be realistic. And again, the women's team is the counter example. The federation doesn't seem to be too bothered, but you have certain people within the setup. You have a national team coach, coaches of the youth women's national teams. You have the players also who are trying to do their best. So, it's again, we would rather be, that we can talk about the positives and be smiling all the time rather than talking about these things. But again, who except us is actually talking about these things? We've got too many fanboys and fangirls out there. Guys, be critical. Ask the right questions.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the case, isn't it? Okay.
What about the Saudi Arabia? That's the biggest question. वो अभी ये आपने जो हम सब ने जो आधे घंटे का वो किया भाषणबाजी, वो काम का नहीं है. मेन चीज है सऊदी अरबिया के सामने क्या होगा, लोगों को वो सुनना है. ये तो चलता रहेगा सारी चीजें.
Yeah, what do you guys think are chances against Saudi Arabia? Shan?
5-0.
I'm seeing 2+ more goals.
5-0,
3-0, 4-0, 3-0, 3-0.
ऐसा हो सकता.
Yeah.
मतलब ये with pain I'm saying this because I've been always been an ardent follower of Indian national team. I think एक चीज मेरे को सबसे खराब लग रहा है what I feel what I'm feeling pain is that why we went with Sunil Chetri and Sanjay Jingan over here. There was no need. We got Sana Singh, and you can't say now that you got your one of. I think you got two, three, four players. I think who can be is a part of the national team setup. And then also you're struggling. You will be facing an under 21 Saudi team, and there also I'm predicting we will be thrashed by them. Only God can save us that day. If I think anything miracle happens, I think miracle is also something which is which will fall short.
Not God. Shayan, you have to do it. Say it differently. Astrologer.
That is also no.
Damn. Everybody is giving in their predictions. Sushmit says 5-0. Abhishek, you're saying 4 plus. Mindset 4-0. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Total, saying 20. But yeah. Hiren, what do you think? What is there any chance that we could tactically set up in a way that somehow we can stay in this game for a long time?
नहीं, टेक्निकली उसके लिए ट्रेनिंग में जाना पड़ेगा, टेक्निकल सेटअप के लिए। वो होटल के बाहर से नहीं होगा, फिर 2 दिन में नहीं होगा, सिंपल सी बात वो भी है। सो नहीं होगा, चाहे आप पार्क दी बस करो, कुछ भी करो, सारे के सारे जितने डिफेंडर है उतने उतार दो, आप गोल खाओगे, सिंपल सी बात है। एंड एज अ फैन बोल सकते हैं, फाइट दे सकते हैं, सारी चीजें करेंगे जैसे चाइना के सामने किया था, लेकिन एट द एंड ऑफ द डे स्कोर लाइन तो 5-1 ही थी ना, चाहे हमने कितना भी फाइट दे दिया, वो सब कुछ कर दिया। एक साल बाद कोई याद नहीं रखेगा कि आपने फाइट दिया, याद रखेगा कि 5-1 की स्कोर लाइन से आपको पहला गया था। सो वही वाली चीज यहाँ पे भी होगी, सऊदी के सामने फाइट दे सकते हैं प्लेयर, 3 दिन का टाइम मिल रहा है उनको, और 28 को मैच है हमारा। सो लेट्स होप कि कुछ यहाँ पे टेक्निकली जो भी करना है करे, एंड एटलीस्ट मतलब शर्मना खार ना हो, मैं यही चाहूंगा।
Kumar 6-0. Aniket saying park the bus. Ashish, 1-1 India wins on penalties. That is the most optimistic response we've gotten so far. On Don Ravi saying 40.
Hiren's face is saying all the things right now.
Yeah. Adama, before we close off, your take on this. How do you see India setting up for this game?
It's a very tough ask for an totally underprepared team against the Saudi side, which has shown in this tournament that what they can do and what they can't. Park the bus, yeah, we would have to have the players to be able to park the bus. It's going to be tough, and if we can restrict, I would say if we can restrict it to let's say a 3-0, I would say it's a success. So, but this looks. The Saudis are stronger than the Chinese, and we conceded 5 against the Chinese, and we're lucky to get away with 5. It's again, Shushmit is asking the right question in the end. Yeah, most probably we need a 6, 7, 8, maybe an 8. Because then the government, not 20, I think 6, 7, 8, I think then the questions will be raised by the government. And I know the government are not happy with what's happening around, whatever the AFF is saying. But I don't, this is too negative in a way of saying it, but most probably that's in the best interest of Indian football, most probably. So that's the question arising in this situation. And because it's not taking us anywhere. We're fooling ourselves. We are not better than January 2019 when Stephen Constantine left. Anybody who's saying that, sorry, doesn't understand football. I'll be that brutal. We are not better. We're not worse. And if I look at the current even Asian Cup team, the senior team, and look at 2011 with whatever these players get today, they are much more professional in their diet, this, that, everything. I would always pick the 2011 team. That's the scary part. Let's see. Let's see where we stand.
Well, guys, we will see where we go with the Asian Games. Let's hope. Let's hope for the best result. Let's hope for the best result possible against Saudi Arabia. Who knows? Football is a funny game on certain days. things can happen and things can go your way, and you can pray for a bit of luck as well. Well, thanks so much, guys, for joining in. We'll be back again tomorrow after the ISL clash. Who's playing tomorrow? I
East
think
Bengal, East Bengal, East Bengal.
Ooh, Rahul.
Jamshedpur,
Ooh.
Jamshedpur,
Jamshedpur
East Bengal. I'm
against
sorry,
East
Shahid.
Bengal.
Yeah,
And
East
how
Bengal.
can you be sorry, bhai? Should not forget. East Bengal is playing tomorrow, bhai. How can you forget that?
I'm sorry,
He
Shahid.
must
But
must have
yeah,
thought
It's a
tomorrow is an
crime.
I League match day, na? So he must have forgot. So that was the point.
no, it's like there's a holiday.
सैन भाई का आप नहीं सैन भाई का आप अट्रैक्शन पावर देखो
Oh,
आप देखो
oh,
ये
has
There
सुस्मित
is
the,
दा
no.
और वो सब
the house has disappeared. His real house has turned up.
हाँ ये सुस्मित दा और वो सब सिर्फ इनको ही सुनने आते हैं हमको सुनने कभी नहीं आते जैसे ही वो आते हैं वही आते हैं उसके चैनल पे ही जाते हैं कि वो ईस्ट बंगाल के फैन है और सुस्मित दा मोहन बगान के
Yeah. So tomorrow East Bengal take on Jamshedpur. Gonna be fun. We'll be back to review that game. Until then, guys, have fun. Take care. Stay safe. Subscribe, like, and share. Sports Khabri, Curious Harry, Indian Food and Football, and Arun Food. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone. Good night.
बाय बाय गुड नाइट